Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to my channel. I am Natalie. My name is Natalie, Natallee, and I want to tell you 5 things they never tell you about dialysis when you start. 1. How easy it is to lose an access. So an access is that conduit that you use to get dialysis, whether it's a catheter, a fistula, or you're on peritoneal dialysis, which to me is probably another kind of catheter, right? But peritoneal dialysis is different from hemodialysis. Anyway, I'm getting probably kind of technical for some people, but there are 2 ways for you to get dialysis, which is hemodialysis, which is cleaning the blood, and peritoneal dialysis, which is introducing a liquid into the body to flush it. Okay? Just a basic understanding of it. So 1, how easy it is to lose a dialysis access. So my first access was in my groin. My second access was on the right side of my chest. It was a catheter. And after my first infection, I decided to learn this thing and pay attention. So I never got an infection after that. Of course, I became difficult to some people in the business because nobody likes when you're correcting them and nobody likes when you have to tell them you can't be doing things this way, right? But it's my health. So I'm not going to apologize for that. All right, you get an access. I had this access. The access worked perfectly, no issues. Now the doctors will tell you, no, the best access to have is a fistula, because with a fistula is that they join a vein and artery together and then they use needles in it, and therefore you don't have to introduce a foreign object such as a tubing, as a catheter is, into your body, right? Because according to them, the catheters are more prone to infection. I do agree. But if you have a working catheter, you let me go. I do surgeries all over my body trying to get a fistula. So I've done 2 surgeries on my left hand trying to get a fistula. None of them were successful. Then they tried for a graft. I did the graft was successful, but the graft lasted 2 years. So here I was having a catheter that worked for 5 years, didn't have any problems whatsoever with it, and took it out for something that they considered safer, but only lasted 2 years. And so I was left in a position where I had to rush to surgery, spend 1 week in the hospital without dialysis, waiting to get that surgery. Got a surgery again in my groin, on my right, in my groin, my right groin, to put a catheter on my leg. And I stepped, or not even stepped, I left that theater in a wheelchair, went straight to dialysis because I'd gone 7 days without dialysis already, right? And when I got to dialysis, that catheter wasn't working properly. The newly, not even 15 minutes in my body, and that catheter wasn't working properly. And I fought up with that catheter for, I don't even think that catheter made a year. And then I was back in surgery, on the dialysis, on the surgery table, trying to get another catheter. Tried to put it back on the right side of my chest, didn't work. Ended up putting it on the left side of my chest. I came out, it's like I'm damn allergic to that catheter. My entire breast got rashes and got black all over. I started getting rashes all over my chest. And so now I can't do without creams. And so right here, my skin is all thinned out because I have to be using steroids to hold down the itching, and I always have to use antibiotic creams. Should I have given up that first catheter that was working perfectly? Well, really, technically, it's my second catheter. Should I have given up that catheter because it's prone to infection? You saw a patient who in the last 5 years got an infection once and never allowed it to happen again. Why did I lose that catheter? And after that, I've had 1, 2, 3 access and no guarantees that this will work, because even when I just got it, it wasn't working properly. And we had to be playing around, putting more heparin in the line, which is not even recommended in the long term, just so that I can have a working catheter. These surgeries are not guaranteed. I know a lot of people who go get a catheter today and come out and it's not working properly. And I was one of those people, so I can speak for myself, right? Access is not easy to get, and it's quick to feel. That's my experience. I've had 5 surgeries already on my left hand, 2 on my right hand, 2 on my right groin, 1 on the right side of my chest, 1 on the left side of my chest. So now I've been told that I've run out of access sites. And the last time when that one on my groin stopped working, a doctor literally said to me, I went into the hospital the Thursday, and a doctor looked at me and told me that I had until Monday to give him a decision about putting me on peritoneal dialysis. And if I did not stand my ground, I would not be doing hemodialysis now. But in another video, I'll tell you 5 things you need. You see, I only told you one. Oh shit. So I will tell you, let me just tell you some of the other things, and I'll get in them another time. So 1, how difficult it is. 2, the amount of surgeries you have to do, which I kind of mentioned. 3, the related complications of dialysis. 1 is that when you're on dialysis, there's a chance that you're going to end up with parathyroid disease. It's not guaranteed, but there's a high chance you may end up with parathyroid disease. You may have hypotensive episodes, especially during or after dialysis, where your blood pressure drops so low you're not very functional, because you get lightheaded, you get dizzy, you might want to black out or pass out, all of that, right? You can also end up with osteoporosis, loss of mobility, and of course, infections. I mentioned that already, right? How difficult it is. This is number 4, how difficult it is to get a dialysis transplant. Now, I am living in the Caribbean, so it's not easy to get a dialysis transplant from my experience, in the sense that you don't necessarily have the culture here of people volunteering to be organ donors in case of death, in case of, you know, having those kind of situations where they may be alive but don't believe that their life will be prolonged. We don't have that kind of culture here. Yes, you have people who will do it, but it's in the minority, and a really small minority. And then you have those who will help their relatives, help their friends to get an access. Unfortunately, I've not been that lucky. I did have some people who tried. My sister tried, she was not a match. My brother tried, he's not the right circumstances, one of my brothers. I had a family member who wanted to try, and her mother was freaking out, you know, thinking that it was going to cost her life if she did it. I had an uncle who tried, he wasn't a match. I had a friend who started the process, and then, you know, she started her family, so that went out the door. And then I even had a teacher who wanted to help me, but I could not accept the help, because I think that he expected from me what I was not able to give him, which was a relationship. So I had, you know, all those. And of course, my father didn't try, maybe out of fear, I don't know, but so it's not easy. And finally, number 5, the death rate. At least in my dialysis center, I can say that the death rate to me is considerably high. I did a story recently on COVID and dialysis patients. You probably can check it out on my Facebook profile. My name is Natalie Legore on Facebook as well. Natalee, because I think there's another Natalie Legore. And I recognize, even doing that the death rate in my dialysis center is very high. So for those of you out there, if you suffer from renal failure, or if you're even hypertensive or diabetic, or you have an autoimmune disease, as is my case, please take care of yourself, because dialysis, definitely not an easy journey. And don't look at me. I always tell people I think I'm the exception to the rule. Because people see me all the time and be like, you don't look like a dialysis patient. Well, yes, I am, and I have the rough days too. But I have a support system, thank God for that. And it's easier to get through things when you have help. So thank you so much, guys, for listening. And please share the video. Ask your friends and family members to subscribe. And let us get through this journey called dialysis. Bye-bye.